The price rise debate. Has the Modi government failed in controlling prices, or is it a consequence of global factors? Is the LPG price hike particularly hurting common people? And what really are the solutions at the moment? I'm joined by the BJP Shehzad Poonawalla in the studio. I'm joined by the Congress's Dr. Shama, Mohamed, and I'm joined by left economist activist Prasenjit, Bose. I appreciate all of you joining us. Let's come to you, Shehzad, and you like to speak about UPA versus NDA. So here's a factor for you, a factoid. 3 price hikes since the month of May in LPG prices. An LPG cylinder cost in April 2014 410 rupees. In July 22, it cost 1,129 and counting. Do you agree that this remains now the biggest crisis point, the challenge for the government containing fuel price hikes?
So Rajdeep, since you're talking about price hikes, first let's focus on that. You quoted the price of a subsidized cylinder and then you went to the price of a non-subsidized cylinder. The taxpayer has to pay the full amount. At that time, the cost of a non-subsidized cylinder of 14.2 kgs was 1241 rupees, and today if you see the same, and I've checked it on the Indian website, it is 1129. So in fact, a non-subsidized cylinder, because ultimately the taxpayer, you and I, have to pay for it, and those who avail of Ujjwala actually get 200 rupees into their bank accounts. But having said that, let's talk about the larger picture of inflation. Retail inflation, if you remember, was hovering around 10% during the entire 2004 to 14 period. In fact, it crossed 10% 9 times. Today, despite 2 global challenges, the Ukraine-Russia war and despite COVID, we have maintained it at 6 to 7.5%. Even though world inflation,
it's still way above
United
what
States,
the RBI stated target.
Yes, I'm coming.
6.5–7%
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. I am coming to that.
Wholesale price index is double of that.
I am coming to that. I'm coming to that. See, we have to see the entire situation in entirety. So I am first trying to draw out a picture that despite these 2 challenges, we have maintained inflation at 6 to 7.5%. It's gone above 7.5% a couple of times. But compare that to UPA tenure, which was above 10% and also hovering around 9 to 10% a large amount of time. And let me give you some things that may not matter to you but matters to the common man. Rice, 2004 to 14, 149% rise. Today, 2014 to 2022, 37% rise. Wheat, 176% rise in 2004 to 14. Today, 36% rise. Urad dal, 333.7% rise between 4 to 14, today 59% rise. Sugar, 481% rise during UPA tenure when left was part of them, and today 10% rise. These factors also have to be taken into consideration. Finally, let's also talk about petrol prices, because that is also an important factor. We cut excise duty twice. There were 6 states that did not cut VAT. That included Maharashtra until recently. That included likes of states like West Bengal. That included states governed by the Congress party. Today my question is that look at the rise of petrol prices. 90 to 98, 200% rise. 98 to 2008 to 2014, 64% rise. And 2014 to 2022, 33.4% rise. This is hard facts. It can't be denied. So those who are today lecturing us, and today we are the fastest growing economy in the world. Today we have the highest FDI. We have the highest forex reserves. We also have the 15% year-on-year growth in the Indian job market that has just come out. We have seen there's the highest growth in services market. Just today it has come out in Economic Times. 11-year high. These factors have to be considered as well. As far as unemployment is concerned, unemployment has been coming down. It is around 7% as per CMIE data. The CMIE data talks about 29% unemployment in the month of June. In Rajasthan, and for the entire year of Rajasthan.
You see, Shehzad, you tend to look at the glass half full. You come on the program with your list to tell us the glass
half
full.
The
glass is also half empty. India lost 1.3 crore jobs in the month of June alone. That's the reality. The Indian rupee, as we've said, has slid. There are other external factors.
Let me take this one point.
I give you the example. You said the job situation is improving. The fact is, in the month of June, India lost 1.3 crore jobs. On the top of that,
just let me complete one line.
You can't say, don't worry, be happy.
Just let me complete one line. That 1.3 crore job loss, if you take that as gospel, please go and see in CMI data, open it on your laptop right now. The state with the highest unemployment right now in June 2022 is Rajasthan, 29%. For the last 1 year, the unemployment rate in Rajasthan has been above 20%. That is almost 3 to 4 times the national average. Am I lying? Any of my facts are lying?
Let Shama Mohamed respond to that, because there are 2 points that Shehzad Poonawalla makes which can, in a sense, put the Congress in the dock. There are states where the Congress is in power, where again we see petrol prices much higher than BJP ruled states, because you have put your higher state taxes. A. B, when you talk of jobs, which Rahul Gandhi has raised time and again, the fact is unemployment rates in some of the Congress ruled states, Rajasthan is a good example, are higher than some BJP ruled states. So let's be honest. The job crisis, the inflation crisis cuts across all states. You can't single out the BJP at the center and hold them solely responsible.
See, Rajdeep, once the GST came into play, the states hardly got their share. You have to understand what is the problem. They had to, in fact, they were first giving them loans, the center. They were begging for their shares. So there's a different thing altogether. Now, he said a lot of things. Now, give me my time also. One of the things he said was there was inflation during our time. Yes, but even if there was inflation during our time, the real wages were very high. And anybody will tell you that, ask any economist. Now, let me tell you what this Sarkar is about. He gave a lot of numbers.
No, that's no answer. Madam, that's no answer. Inflation was high, Why not accept it? Except particularly UPA 2009 to 14, inflation was well higher, well above normal, and this was not when necessarily global inflation was as high as it is today. There are 100 countries as we speak today which have higher inflation than India.
Can I please give me some time, just as you've given?
Yeah, you've got to be specific with facts, ma'am.
I want to give you facts. I'm going to give you facts.
Please give the facts then.
So that's what I'm going to give you. So whatever happened in our time, people did not feel this because things were subsidized. He told about the gas. Gas was subsidized for everybody. Now nobody has it. Everything from 420, it's gone to 1053. It is cutting across to people. Now this Sarkar, what is the problem basically? I was listening to the RBI governor. He said jobs. That is the biggest problem. Now let me give you some facts. Look at the Sarkar. This is called a revenue Sarkar, I would call you. Vasuli Sarkar. Look at the GST collection of this Sarkar. In January this year, it was 1,38,000 crore, which was 15% higher than last year and 25% higher than pre-COVID times. Now in June this year, the GST collection is 1,44,000 crore, which is 56% higher than last year. And look at the tax they collected through the excise duty in petrol, 26 lakh crores. Now, when people are having such hard times, why can't they use that revenue and do a direct cash transfer? That is one. Number two, this is a Sarkar for corporates, because let's understand, in 2019, they gave a bonanza of 1,40,000 crore to the corporates. That is there every year. Why not cut that down and again give it to the poor? The poor right now, Rajdeep, the problem is the consumption has gone down, the demand has gone down, because the spending of every house has gone up by 59% from last year. There is no money in a house. And on top of that, suppose if there are 5 people in a house, if one person earns, how can they spend? They have no money. So basically, the unemployed, if you had 3 people earning, then of course there's more money in the house to spend. So that has gone down. The other thing which is very important is the falling rupee. Now when the rupee, remember, the Prime Minister used to say, rupee ICU mein hai, when it was 70. Now it is almost touch 80. So what happens? Most of our things are imported. When imports gone up, suppose if I'm making a car over here and want to even export, the steel which is imported is at a very high price. So even your exports go up. So when you're importing a lot of stuff like this, import also affects. So the price rise again. When you import, prices go up. The price, because the rupee has fallen right now.
Okay.
The other important thing, let me finish, Rajdeep. Please give me some time. I want to finish this. Very important is foreign private investment. Now, the RBI governor talked about jobs. 2.1 lakh crore has been removed by private investors from this country. That's a huge amount. And why have they removed it? Of course, RBI had to increase the interest rates. When they removed it, the rupee fell. But there are other reasons for it, like Arvind Subramanian said, the social unrest in this country. He was advising, remember, he was the former chief economic advisor to Prime Minister Modi. There is social unrest. Also, the regulatory policies here, they keep changing. That is another thing. So that has also affected jobs. And many
Ma'am, you've made your points now. I've given you equal time. Your time is up. Your time is up. Let's turn. No, ma'am. No, I will not allow you now to hijack the debate. Prasenjit, Bose, let's look at a middle ground. Is there a middle ground or not between these two extreme positions that are being taken? Shehzad, Poonawalla saying, look at the situation, compare it globally as well as compare it to UPA times. And Shama Mohamed, who says that this is a revenue-driven Sarkar, which simply doesn't use those revenues to benefit those who desperately need help at the moment. That, for example, non-subsidized LPGs are part of the problem.
Well, I think that both the major party spokespersons have spoken half-truths. Part of what they are saying is certainly true. For instance, there was very high inflation under the UPA, but I think that today the Modi government has also entered a phase where the inflation rate is rising. So the possibility of the Modi government facing the similar kind of inflationary upsurge in the days to come cannot be ruled out. As far as international oil prices and international LPG prices are concerned, I think that they are also at a very high level right now. The UPA government also faced very high international oil and LPG prices. The difference is that the UPA government tried to provide some cushion in terms of subsidization. What this government has done is that at a time when international oil prices were low, for instance a couple of years back during the time of the pandemic, the government not only levied very high taxes on petrol and diesel, but also cut down on fuel subsidies very drastically. Now what has happened is that
the government says they have used their revenues to provide cheap rice, subsidized rice, free food grain to millions of Indians.
No. That is robbing Peter to.
That's the
that is robbing Peter to pay Paul. No. That is robbing. That is called robbing Peter to pay Paul. The poor people need cheap food. They also need cheap fuel. So you can't have this argument that I am increasing fuel prices and using that money to provide cheap food. That is robbing Peter to pay Paul. You are supposed to mobilize resources from the rich, from those corporates, from those the groups who have suddenly today become the richest person in India within a span of few years, at a time when majority of the people are facing economic distress. They are the people from whom taxes should be taken, not the poor people by cutting their subsidies. And look at the cut. 2 years back, the BJP spokesperson should answer. 2 years back, fuel subsidy was to the tune of, LPG subsidy was to the tune of 35,000 crore. For the last year, this year also, it's around 6,000 crore. So you are talking about 30,000 crore cut in fuel subsidies. By that time, because of your Ujjwala Yojana, you have over 30 crore households in India shifting to this LPG cylinders, and now they can't refill because the prices have gone up.
Let me come
the post-subsidy price under the UPA was much lower than what it is today. So you are actually doing a grave injustice to those people. You have shown them a dream. You have given crores of people access to LPG, subsidized LPG first, and now you have withdrawn the subsidy, and they have to slide back to using
let Shehzad Poonawalla respond. Shehzad, this is the most familiar argument being made against your government, that far from providing subsidies to those who need it most, what you've done is actually garnered revenue through fuel prices, but not given the kind of subsidies that are needed to those who are hurting the most. How do you then call yourself a Garibon ki Sarkar?
Rajdeep, let me inform you that the UPA in 10 years that it was in power spent about 46 lakh crores in social spending and developmental expenditure, which includes your food subsidy, your fertilizer subsidy. Today in 8 years, we have spent in excess of 98 lakh crore rupees. We have excess of 90 lakh crore rupees. So please have this perspective. That's where you get your 6 crore taps from. That's where you get your 80 crore food grain rations for 2 years from. That's where you get your 11 crore people getting Kisan Samman Nidhi of 1,80,000 crore. They gave us 60,000 crore loan waiver. We have given 1,80,000 crore in 8 years. We have given MSP of wheat and rice, just wheat and rice, 8 lakh crores as compared to their 3 lakh crores in 5-year period. We have given 9 crore Ujjwala Yojana cylinders. We have given crores of toilets. This has all happened because of this money that we have spent back. We have spent 90 lakh crores. They spent 49 lakh crores. Point number one. Point number two, the states saying that they have not got their share. The states before GST earned about totally 4.5 lakh crores. Today they've earned 6.4 lakh crores. Despite the fact that a large amount of social welfare schemes are being run by the centre, paid for the centre, for example, Ayushman Bharat, etc. So the states actually had more resources to give to the poor. Now let me come to a third point. Madam says that about FPI leaving the country. The more reasonable indicator to see is FDI, and we are seeing highest FDI. Fourthly, when she's talking about the rupee falling, today we have heard Mr. Subbarao speak about the rupee falling. The rupee fall, even in the last 8 years, if you compare it with the UPA 10-year period, it is much less compared to that period. And even now, that time the war chest of Forex was $250 billion. Today it is almost $600 billion. So why is this contest being forgotten? And finally, one last point. The IMF has come out and said, that the fact that we gave 80 crore people free rations for 2 years, extended for 6 months, has prevented people from going into extreme poverty. There are umpteen number of reports that say that we have done a good job as far as handling poverty is concerned. But my fundamental question is only this, that today, if we are talking about unemployment or if we are talking about price rise, VAT was not cut by many of the states. Today, a litre of petrol in Telangana costs 106 rupees. In Uttarakhand, it costs 95, 96 rupees. Why is the difference? Because of VAT. Why haven't they cut the VAT? When there is unemployment of 29% in Rajasthan, what about the unemployment there? What have they done to tackle unemployment in these states? Please, Maharashtra cut tax on imported liquor, but did not cut tax on petrol. You know this, Rajdeep. You know this, you're from Maharashtra. So please, they robbed Peter and Paul both. They robbed Peter and Paul both, and today they are unhappy because we are taking from Peter and we are giving to poor Paul.
Okay, you want to quickly respond, Prasenjit, since you made the Peter-Paul analogy?
No, you see, first of all, why hasn't the Modi government brought petrol and diesel under GST? The Prime Minister said one nation, one tax. And you have this hypocritical government, which has raised the maximum amount of revenues, not from direct taxes, but from petrol and diesel, by compelling people, because you have to buy petrol and diesel even if they are over 100 rupees a litre. Because you have no choice. They are necessities.
No, but would the Congress, let's be honest, bringing petrol under GST requires a consensus
of all the states. Does Kerala agree? He's a leftist economist. Ask him if Kerala is on board with it, and is the Congress state on board with it.
You are talking about robbing Peter and Paul. What about corporate taxes?
Prasanna, I have great regard for you. You've been in the left parties once upon a time. Can I please ask you one simple question, sir? It's 2 versus 1 anyway. Sir, the suggestion you've just made, do you have the endorsement of Pinarayi Vijayan and Ashok Gehlot on this, and Bhupesh Baghel on this? And the GST decisions are not taken by the central government, sir. It's taken in consensus with the GST state councils. Please, sir, you know this better than me. Don't wear your political hat.
I'm saying. Why are you digressing? You don't have anything to say. You don't have
I have just told you cut your VAT.
What I am saying.
Cut your VAT.
That. Don't make all these.
Can I give a final word to Shama Mohamed? Shama Mohamed, you know the Congress party, I see Rahul Gandhi tweeting about this every day, about prices, about jobs. He should create a model state. Show me in Rajasthan, show me in Chhattisgarh that I am in a better position to prove that jobs have been provided to people, that I have ensured that fuel prices are down. Show it. Walk the talk. It's not enough to tweet. You can tweet and embarrass this government. You need to walk the talk.
Rajdeep, who promised 2 crore jobs? Now the situation of the gas prices is not in our hand. It's only the government who can deal with these things. I want to ask Shehzad, why not subsidize gas today? Why can't you go back and subsidize gas? Now GST, look at the way they've increased, Rajdeep.
But we do give subsidy on subsidy to the poor. You will not get it, Shama. Shama, you don't deserve subsidy. The poor lady who's buying an Ujjwala cylinder, getting an Ujjwala cylinder gets 200
The number of people who are going in for a refill of Ujjwala has reduced, Shehzad, because the LPG prices are up. Please finish it in a minute, ma'am.
Rajdeep, I want to finish my point, please. It's a request. Now, let me tell you, when they have such GST revenues, which is 56% higher than last year, they have put on exempted items, which were exempted before, 5% on jaggery, meat, fish, puff rice, honey, wheat flour, food grains, paneer. I mean, basic things what people are talking about. The price of edible oil, when our time was, he was giving prices 100. Right now, it's 181, almost 200 per kg. Chappals, things like that, 299 has gone to 499. Bathing soap 20 has gone to 30. Flour 20 has gone to 30. I mean, these are the things. G335 has gone to 649. You know, so what has happened is and why has foreign private, he says everything is fine. Why is FPI removed from our country? 2.1 lakh crore, which gives
there are various reasons, ma'am, that's another debate. That has nothing to do. Ma'am,
there is an interest rate differential. That's why the FPI is leaving this country.
Let's not go down that route. But ma'am, producer, volume down. I want to show Shehzad 2 bites. 2 sound bites, and I want a quick response. Let's play what was said by the same government when the UPA was in power.
इन्हीं के कालखंड में महंगाई कहां से कहां पहुंच गई। एक तरफ जीडीपी का गिरना, दूसरी तरफ इन्फ्लेशन का बढ़ना। उन्हें चिंता नहीं है और उन्होंने वादा किया था 100 दिन में महंगाई कम करेंगे। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, आप महंगाई कम कर पाओ या न कर पाओ, कम से कम अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जहां छोड़ के गए थे वहां तो ला करके रख दो, वहां तो ला करके रख दो, तब भी गरीब के घर में चूल्हा जलेगा।
लेकिन जब से प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 100 दिन में महंगाई को घटाएंगे इस वचन की पूर्ति को नहीं किया है, तब से देश में एक संदेह पैदा हुआ है कि अगर देश के अर्थशास्त्री प्रधानमंत्री पर हम महंगाई पर नियंत्रण पाने के लिए विश्वास नहीं कर सकते, तो ऐसे प्रधानमंत्री का और ऐसी सरकार का जिस पर भरोसा नहीं है देश की जनता का, क्या फायदा। बीजेपी की जब सरकार आएगी 2014 में, आप मुझे कह रहे हैं कि स्पेकुलेट करूं, मैं विश्वास के साथ कह रही हूं कि 2014 में जब बीजेपी की सरकार आएगी तो ये महिला विरोधी जो नीति अपनाई है कांग्रेस लेड यूपीए ने, इसको जरूर खत्म करेगी।
Where you sit depends on where you stand, or where you stand depends on where you sit. Do you agree it's much more difficult, Shehzad, to control prices in government, particularly in tough times? There were taper tantrums in 2013. Today you got with Ukraine a specific crisis that has put your government under pressure. Why live in denial except that these are tough times?
Look, Rajdeep, global inflation is at its highest. It wasn't the case back then, and at that point of time, urad dal was rising 300%, masoor dal was rising 140%, sugar was rising 480%, which is now 50 or 60 or 10 or 20%. If those were the cases even today, then I would agree. But all the prices were rising at 400, 300%. There was average inflation, retail inflation of about 9 to 10%. And at that point of time, there was no spending of social sector. It was actually, nobody was being given 80 crore people were not being given free food. 200 vaccines were not being administered free. We did not have 11 crore toilets being built. We did not have 1.8 lakh crore rupees being given to Kisans as Kisan Samman Nidhi. If all of this was being done, then we would not have criticized.
Okay, let me leave it there. Let me leave it there. Clearly,
Rajdeep, he has to answer why the price rise is happening and where.
Okay,
I'm telling you why it is happening.
Time is up. Okay,
I'm telling you why it is happening.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Producer, no noise. We've heard all three sides. We leave it to the viewer to decide. Price rise remains a big challenge going ahead. Inflation is one of the major challenges of our times.